Welcome, everybody, to the Sunday edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Mono Mike, and today we are doing our quarterback rankings for the 2026 NFL season. You know, I was putting my list together throughout the weekend, right? And every player that I've written down, every time I wrote a player down in a spot, I'm like, man, I can just imagine how you guys are going to react. That just kept running through my head of like, man, you guys are going to like, you guys are going to not like me for my rankings this year. And you know what? It is what it is. They're my rankings. And it's where I want to put these quarterbacks. It's because of what I think, right? So I'm allowed to have my own opinion, my own anything, just like anybody else. And these rankings are my opinion for the 2026 NFL season. We're obviously going to talk about the news coming out of the world of football as well. So that is today's show. That is what today's show is going to be, is the quarterback rankings. Real quick, the top 100, the NFL's top 100 players being announced the past couple days. And we obviously ran through player 100 through player 71. It'd be good if I made that a scroll instead of just a banner. That'd be helpful. So player 70 through 61 was announced this week. Starting with player number 70 was Xavier McKinney, safety of the Green Bay Packers, moved down 40 spots from last year. So he was number 30 last year, which is crazy drop. But safeties, I mean, the thing is, safeties, you look at a safety stats, tackles, they're up there in a sense. Obviously trying to make interceptions, make plays, break up passes, all that stuff. The defensive backfield is very tricky when it comes to statistics. So at number 69, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, dropped 67 spots. He was number 2 last year. Number 2 dropped 67 spots down to number 69. That's an insane drop. Okay. Now, again, we're doing our quarterback rankings today. For the projected starters of 2026, so I think the spot that I put Lamar Jackson in is valid because of the fact he dropped 67 spots this year in the top 100. That's insane. Okay. Now, I know you can't really compare that to the fact of just from one position to all positions of comparison. So, and that's what this top 100 is all positions in comparison, right? Where a quarterback ranking is just a quarterback ranking. So I know the differences and everything like that, but it's still the point. Dropping 67 spots from the top 100 players, that's a rough drop. Rough drop. At number 68, Courtland Sutton, wide receiver of the Broncos, was not on the list last year. Number 67, another player that wasn't on the list, Jordan Brooks, linebacker of the Dolphins. That was 67. At number 66, Drake London, wide receiver of the Falcons. He hopped up 31 spots from last year. So just think, he was 66. 66 plus 30 is 96. 97, so it was number 97 last year on the list. Okay. At number 65, Roquan Smith, linebacker of the Baltimore Ravens, dropping 25 spots from number 40 last year. Okay. At number 64, wasn't on the list last year, wide receiver of the New Orleans Saints, Chris Olave. At number 63, safety of the Baltimore Ravens, Kyle Hamilton, who dropped 12 spots from last year. At number 62, quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, was not on the list last year. And at number 61, free safety of the New England Patriots, Kevin Byard, who was not on the list as well. So we are keeping an eye out for the top 100, and the top 100 should be completed by August 4th. August 4th, we should get the top 10 players. So, yeah. So that's the addition of the top 100 players in the NFL for 2026. So, but yeah, we are going to do our quarterback rankings today. I was kind of hesitant on doing it today, seeing that we're still in mid-July, but I figured why not? I had something else put together for today, but I was like, I kind of want to do my quarterback rankings. I want to do my quarterback rankings today. So the segment that I had planned for today originally was the top free agents for 2027. Right? It seems a little early to do the top free agents of 2027, but we have players that are on contract here, and we're going to talk about one of those players in the new segment. Right? So, we'll do the top free agents of 2027 next Sunday morning. I wanted to do my quarterback rankings today. I did. I was very just like hyped to do my quarterback rankings. So let's get into the news coming out of the world of football, talking about top free agents coming out of 2027. A guy that's set to be a free agent in 2027. That is if he does not get a contract by the beginning of the next offseason. And that is George Pickens is going to be playing under the franchise tag this year. The Dallas Cowboys decided not to give him a contract before the season kicked off, so he's going to be playing under the franchise tag this year, which is set at $27.3 million on the franchise tender. So George Pickens still making a decent amount under that tender, but I was talking to my cousin the other day about George Pickens. And we were talking about whether he truly earned a contract or not. Because when you look at George Pickens, I mean, he's a hell of a player. Don't get me wrong. He obviously was in a much better place going to Dallas because the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh at the time George Pickens was in Pittsburgh, it just wasn't good. And you look at his statistics in Pittsburgh in 2022, 52 catches, 801 yards, 4 touchdowns. In 2023, 63 for 1,140 and 5 touchdowns. And then 2024, 59 catches, 900 yards, 3 touchdowns. He gets to Dallas, 93 catches for 1,429 yards and 9 touchdowns, right? So that's a boost in statistics going to Dallas. Again, when you look at the quarterback situation between what Pittsburgh had when he was in Pittsburgh, I mean, because obviously last year he would have been with Aaron Rodgers. Would have Aaron Rodgers thrown to him more? Would Aaron Rodgers made sure that he would have hit the 1,000-yard mark? Now, in Dallas last year, he became the WR1 at certain points because of injuries and everything. Right? So his statistics from last year make sense. But this is the second year he goes over 1,000 yards. His first year getting up to over 1,200. So, yeah, I mean, me and my cousin talking about whether he actually earned a contract or not. I think he earned a contract last year, but he didn't earn, one of those contracts to make him the highest paid wide receiver in football. It's 1 year where he had mega statistics because he was the WR1 at certain points because of injury. Now, if he goes out this year and breaks, let's say, 1,200 yards and he catches, let's say, 10 touchdowns, then it's like, okay, pay the man. But last year was kind of that full-on proving of you got a good quarterback under center, one of the best quarterbacks right now under center. You have to admit Dak Prescott really raised his game the past season or two. So for him to earn a contract last year, I would say yes, but not a highest paid wide receiver in football type of contract. Now, if he does break, let's say 1,200 yards this year and gets at least 10 touchdowns, then I'll say, okay, I think it's time to pay him. And Dallas would be foolish to let him walk. I mean, he proved to be, in just 1 year's time, proved to be an intricate part to that wide receiver room in Dallas. And you could tell Dak Prescott loved throwing to him. You've seen it when you watch Dallas games. Now, if George Pickens ends up walking and ending up somewhere else, I mean, whoever picks him up is going to pay him. Especially if he puts up the statistics of a guy who earned to get paid. So, co-founder and senior chair of the Houston Texans, Janice McNair, passed away this week at the age of 89. Some sad news coming out of Houston. Thoughts and everything go out to her family, the team, everything. It's always sad news to hear when somebody passes away. She is an intricate part of the creation of the Houston Texans, a founder, a senior chair. The Houston Texans, when you think of the Houston Texans, they've been around since 2002. And I'll say this, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, love the Philadelphia Eagles. The Houston Texans, ever since being in the league, have always been my AFC team. Sometimes you have that team that you cheer for if your team doesn't go anywhere. Houston Texans were always mine since 2002. So they're my AFC team. I root for them. Let's say the playoffs, say the Eagles get eliminated. The Eagles got eliminated in the wild card round last year, right? I rooted for the Houston Texans. I was rooting for the Houston Texans on the AFC side of things. So, you always find that like extra team to root for in case your team's not there. That gives you something to root for. So yeah. Janice McNair ends up passing away, age of 89. A huge part, obviously, being a co-founder and a senior chair for the Houston Texans and the success of that organization. I mean, that organization the past couple of years has really picked it up. And hopefully we start seeing more success come from them. Hopefully they can get past that divisional round and get into the AFC title game, possibly get to the Super Bowl. I mean, the Houston Texans have the team to do it. They do. And CJ Stroud, yeah, he went through his sophomore slump. Last year wasn't the best year when it came to injuries. It seems like Houston's really getting their stuff together this year, checking out the stuff going on in training camp and stuff. Seeing what they're putting together, Houston looks like they're going to be a team that's going to make a run to win back the AFC South from Jacksonville, because Jacksonville last year just out of nowhere came in and took over that division. So former wide receiver of the 49ers, Trent Taylor, decided to retire after 10 seasons. Trent Taylor, not a lot of statistics, not a big name that you hear of, but he was an important part of some organizations. For the San Francisco 49ers, he was there from 2017 to 2020, and then 2024 and 2025. He was with the Cincinnati Bengals in 2021 and 2022, and then with the Chicago Bears in 2023. His career stats, he had 88 catches for 845 yards, 1,157 return yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, you hear those statistics, you're thinking, why are we even talking about this guy? Well, because there's always that one player that seems to be a big piece of the puzzle in the locker room, whether it's somebody that comes in and makes big plays, or somebody that leads a franchise to winning ball games. But this guy seemed like he was very loved in the locker room, somebody that was probably a piece of the puzzle to keep guys from, ripping each other's heads off during training camp because it's hot out and you're going through those. I mean, they don't do 2 days anymore, but he seemed to be an important piece, especially to the San Francisco 49ers organization. And, get the respect and announce that he did retire. And he went 10 seasons. I mean, you look at his statistics and everything, you're thinking, man, how did he last 10 seasons? And that's part of the reason why. He was probably a big part of the locker room to keep, the culture of the locker room together so things don't fall apart. He was a glue. And there's nothing wrong, especially with acknowledging somebody that does that for your team. Because let's face it, I mean, you got 53 alpha males inside of a locker room. And one of my favorite lines from the movie Draft Days, I got 52 Tarzans in my locker room. I can use a Jane. There's always that one person that needs to be the Jane to keep things afloat. So, and that's what he most likely was. So why not acknowledge it? Linebacker of the Green Bay Packers, Isaiah McDuffie. He got a 1-year, $8.8 million extension with the Green Bay Packers. Again, we talked about this during the offseason, earlier in the offseason during free agency, to where we were seeing players, even big-name players that you would think get big contracts, get these small contracts. That's the thing, is this year is kind of that set of cap space. Next year, the cap space is going to go up. More money is going to be in the pockets of the teams. They're going to be able to contract guys longer and give them more money. That's why you're seeing a lot of teams pay guys smaller amounts this year, because they're telling them, like, hey, we're going to contract you, but we're kind of in a tight spot right now when it comes to cap space. Let's do this now, and then next year, this is what we can do. But ends up getting that extension for a year and $8.8 million. Alaric Jackson, left tackle of the Los Angeles Rams. He was arrested back in June for a domestic violence situation. No felony charges were put against him for the arrest back in June. So it looks like he's going to be good to go and playing football for the Los Angeles Rams. No other news came from this. It just no charges were put against him there. Geno Smith, quarterback of the Jets, was in the same situation. He was being investigated for a domestic battery situation with a woman back in June. The investigation on that has been closed, so it looks like everything seems to be okay on that on that front as well when it comes to Geno Smith. I mean, I'll say this right now, and we've talked about this many a times. There are a lot of guys, especially a lot of young players, who are getting themselves in trouble for stupid stuff. And then you see a guy like Geno Smith, who is a veteran in this league. And, I've seen the video, the apparent video. I mean, you can kind of tell it's Geno, but at the same time, it's not a clear-cut picture that it is Geno Smith. But when you see the video and then you put two and two together and you hear the news, it's like, okay, that had to have been him. Okay. Number one thing players need to remember is there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras everywhere now, whether it's in the home, whether it's out in public, and I'm not advocating this be okay even to the general public. But when you're in a position of being part of the 1% to be in this league, just like a regular human, just like me, I'm a normal average Joe. If I'm put in a situation that I think and know is going to get me in trouble, my number one thought is I'm walking away. I'm not going to put myself in this position, because I know this could be the consequence. Now, I know not everybody has that mind frame, and it sucks. It does. Because these situations, these accusations are not okay. They're not. So I guess what I'm saying is I understand some people can't control, snapping back or arguing or anything like that. Some people can't handle or control doing that, from walking away to walk away. I wish we would stop seeing players getting themselves in stupid situations and getting in trouble. And I don't mean that just for the fact of them being on the field. It's just, they're in a great position in life to be part of the 1%, to be in one of the biggest leagues, sports leagues in the world. Now, if I was in that position, my first thought would be, I'm walking away. I'm not putting myself in a position to get in trouble. Just think of what that might do for my future. And then some people might say, well, it's Geno Smith. He's the quarterback of the Jets. Who are the Jets? The Jets are an NFL team. The Jets are an NFL organization. That's what the Jets are. Put aside their record, put aside what they've done in the past 2, 3, 10 years. They're an NFL organization that makes money. Gives players an opportunity to have a career. Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Zach Wilson at one point. And now Geno Smith, starting quarterback for the Jets at the moment, might be his last opportunity to be a starter in this league. Walk away. Walk away. If people are going to attack, just walk away. Next thing is, Mike, it's hard to walk away. There's a door right behind this computer. There's a door, right? Okay. Somebody comes in and argues at me, I'm walking through this door. There's a garage door. I can open up and go to the whole big world out there. Whole big world to move into. Tell me there's no room to walk away. Just saying. Players need to stop getting in these situations. They do. Because I don't know if they realize it, they can ruin their opportunity. Ruin their careers in one swift second. Because of situations like this. So, Charles Snowden, defensive end of the Cowboys, suspended for the first 3 games of the season. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. We were talking about teams, being cursed, basically, right? And when you run down the history and you look at it, for the Philadelphia Eagles, for example, Minnesota Vikings back in 2017, 2018. NFC Championship game, came to Philly. Fans put the Vikings jersey and Vikings gear on the Rocky statue. What happened? Vikings got whooped. 49ers did it a couple years later. NFC title game, got whooped. Okay? The Raiders did it at one point. A couple other teams went in all at one point. Got beat. Okay? Now, Michael Irvin decided to go to the Rocky statue the other day. And then he went into the oldest pub in Philadelphia. That is a Philadelphia Eagles pub. And just started taunting Eagles fans. Right? Then went to the Rocky statue. Taunted the Rocky statue. Literally 10, 15 minutes later, Charles Snowden, defensive end of the Cowboys, suspended for 3 games. Yeah. And we know the Cowboys defense has been struggling as of late to put something together. And now you got players getting suspended. Now, I don't know if I want to say that it's a tie into what Michael Irvin did. By all means. But it was just so coincidental. So coincidental that it happened moments later. So, just like the Danhausen curse in WWE. I mean, the Danhausen curse, I think, works. Because New York Knicks winning the NBA title after he took the curse off of them. Now the Rocky statue. I mean, I don't know. Put 2 and 2 together. You make your own decision on that. I'm just saying. Running back of the New Orleans Saints, Alvin Kamara, has reworked his deal so he could stay with the team. Now, we talked about Alvin Kamara on the back end of the 2025 season about the possibilities of him being out in New Orleans. And then the question is where does he go? Because when you look at every team across the league, they have their running back for the most part, right? And then we get to the free agent system and Rico Dowdle, who was a big part of the Panthers offense, ends up in Pittsburgh. I'm trying to think what other running backs left and when else. There's a couple other running backs. Kenneth Gainwell, big part of the Pittsburgh offense, ends up going to Tampa Bay. So teams are getting their running backs. So the question would have been where does Alvin Kamara go? Because he honestly has not done too much in the past season or two, right? So that's going to be the question is where does he go? We know he's in his 30s. Who's going to sign a 30-year-old running back? Well, the Saints decided to rework his deal so he could stay with the team. So it looks like he's going to be more of that mentorship role. He's still going to play. We're still going to see Alvin Kamara on the field. Don't get me wrong. That's going to happen. But I think it's more of a mentorship thing, kind of like what we're going to see in Kansas City with Travis Kelce. Kelce's going to play, but at the same time, he's going to be that mentor for the next guys that come in and take over that position. So, the 49ers and Seahawks, their rookies reported for training camp yesterday. First day of training camp for both teams. Now, normally we see teams kind of come in a little later in the month, around July 26th, July 28th. I believe July 28th is the first full official day where all the teams report to training camp, right? Well, rookies are able to come in now. So the 49ers and Seahawks, they're getting a little bit of a jump on the start of their training camp, bringing in their rookies, getting things rolling. That way, when the veterans come in, they can all be on the same page and start working. And I like this move more for both these teams because we know the 49ers last year, they were a good team. They were. And I think if the 49ers were a much more healthier team, we would not have seen the Seahawks raising the Lombardi Trophy last year. We wouldn't have. I mean, look where the 49ers got with what they had to deal with. Okay? Now imagine a fully healthy 49ers team last year. Seahawks weren't winning the Super Bowl. And I'll stand on that ground. I don't care. It's my opinion. Okay? 49ers getting the jump to bringing the rookies in to get them on pace with the veterans is a great move because the 49ers are set to be a very, very good team this year. They are. And I think the 49ers, my opinion, are going to win the West this year. I don't think it's going to be the Rams. I don't think it's going to be the Seahawks. And the reason why it's good for the Seahawks is because they lost a lot of their core guys. So to bring their rookies in to get them up to pace, a good move on the Seahawks. Very good move. But I think the 49ers overall win the West this year. I've been saying it. I think they beat the Rams by one game. By one game. Seahawks 10-7, 6 or 7 seed in the playoffs. But we are going to do our preseason predictions in the next couple weeks here. So maybe, I don't know if I want to do it next week. Next week, I want to do the top free agents for 2027. We can push back the top free agents. So maybe next week we'll do our preseason predictions because we have 2 to do. We have our ones we do before the preseason starts, and then we do our predictions a week before the season starts. Okay? So maybe we'll do predictions next week instead of the free agent thing for 2027. Maybe that's what we'll do. Some players are starting a social media push for NFL teams to switch to the field that has been used for the World Cup. As we know, some of the NFL stadiums around the country have hosted World Cup games. Over 78 World Cup games were hosted inside NFL stadiums. Los Angeles Rams, SoFi Stadium. Philadelphia Eagles hosted at Lincoln Financial. The finals, I believe, are going to be at MetLife Stadium in New York. So a lot of NFL teams have hosted games for the World Cup, and they were able to walk on the field they used, and they said they love that field. So now players are starting a social media petition for owners to switch to using that grass-type field. Which, hey, when you think about it, what are the pluses of it? Maybe the possibilities of preventing injuries, and we won't see the injured list freaking have a massive, long name list after a week. A lot of things. Weather could be a huge part in it too. We had a hell of a lot of rain here in Pennsylvania the past couple days. So, I mean, there's many different things that could help with changing the field over, and players are trying to get that done. So we'll have to see if they're able to pull it off. The Bengals, they announced that they will be wearing their all-white uniforms on the Sunday Night Football game on November 15th against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've seen the Bengals all-white uniforms before. They are beautiful uniforms. I like the Bengals whiteouts. They are awesome. And I would love, I mean, I don't have like a favorite Bengal player. I do like Joe Burrow. I do. So if I were to get an all-white an all-white Bengals jersey for myself as a football fan, I would either get a Chase or a Burrow. Probably a Burrow. I'd probably get Joe Burrow first. So, but beautiful, beautiful uniforms, and we're going to be seeing them on November 15th on Sunday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ethan Pochik, free agent center formerly of the Cleveland Browns, has signed with the Baltimore Ravens on a one-year deal. So he is now a Baltimore Raven. He was on my list of free agents to be signed this offseason, and I had a couple players left on that list. I got to find that list because I don't know where I put it. But I know I had like 10 players left on that list, and he was one of them. So we'll knock that list back down to 9 because of him being signed. Chris Johnson, as we know, former All-Pro running back Chris Johnson, a couple weeks ago announced that of his ALS diagnosis. The Tennessee Titans have announced that he is going to now be inducted into their Ring of Honor in Week 1 on September 13th against the New York Jets. So awesome for the Titans to be doing this, putting him in the Ring of Honor. There have been a lot of people on social media saying that, oh, this should have been done sooner and blah, 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 blah. It's like, people, stop. Really? Like, do you not understand what it takes for a player to be put into a Ring of Honor? What it takes for a team to put them into Ring of Honor? Like, teams can take players and just throw them into their Ring of Honor and make it seem like it's so simple to do. Okay? But there are other things that go through the fact of putting a player even in something like a team's Ring of Honor. And for the Titans to be doing this for Chris Johnson is freaking amazing. Good on the Tennessee Titans for doing this. And, Week 1 against the New York Jets in Tennessee is when he will be inducted into the Ring of Honor. I plan on doing the Ice Bucket Challenge. I've seen it happening all around social media of people doing the Ice Bucket Challenge in honor of ALS and, of course, for Chris Johnson. And I plan on doing it at some point in the next couple days as well. So if you're watching, keep an eye out. I might call you out on doing it. So, last thing in the news, personnel executive of the Arizona Cardinals, Ryan Gold, is being suspended for gambling. Now, he's not being suspended for just normal gambling. No. He's been with the Arizona Cardinals for 13 years, okay? And he had some insight on the Cardinals 2026 NFL draft strategy. And what did he do? He released some of that information. Got caught, and they're considering it gambling because people do gamble on the NFL draft. They'll go on, gamble sites and say, oh, I think this team is going to take this player, and you win money. And, well, he handed that information out to some people, and whether or not those people won money or not, it's still yet to be known. But he is suspended for the immediate future. And having an investigation for gambling. And he's being accused, allegations of handing out that information, I should say. So let me fix me saying that. And he's being accused of it. So that's it for the news, guys. We're going to take about a 30 to 45-second break here on the Huddle Podcast. We'll be back after this short moment, and we're going to get into our quarterback rankings for the 2026 NFL season. All right, guys, make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Up Podcast after the show today over on social media, over on TikTok, Instagram, X, and on Epic Studios at the Huddle Hub Pod. You're going to hit that follow button over on the YouTube. You're going to hit that subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube. And, of course, you're going to follow over on the Twitch channel at the Huddle Hub Podcast. If you're not watching on Twitch today, we are over on Twitch at the Huddle Hub Podcast. All of our social media links are in the Twitch bio. You just click on the one you desire to go to, because I know not everybody uses every social media outlet, and help us build the Huddle Up Podcast through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. Okay. All right, so we're going to get into my quarterback rankings for 2026. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Again, this is my own personal rankings. Number one, we're going to cover this right now because I know I'm going to get some heat from pretty much fans all around the league because they are not going to be happy wherever their player is. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Once I hit maybe the top 10, I might get some love for it. But from number 11 to 32, man, am I going to catch some heat. And I know it. And I've kind of prepped myself for this. I have. So let's get in to my quarterback rankings for the 2026 NFL season, starting off with number 32. Okay. I got to switch things around. Number 32, quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, Malik Willis. All right. Now, you're probably asking, why is Malik Willis at number 32? You look at Malik Willis's stats, 22 games played in his career. He's 105 for 155, 1,322 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on his career. Not a lot of proving ground for Malik Willis, okay? So I think it's fitting for Malik Willis to be number 32 on this list because he does not have a lot of proving. Like, he does not have enough statistics to prove to not be above 32. And that's the main reason why. I'm not sitting here saying Malik Willis is a bad quarterback. I'm not sitting here saying that he's anything bad. It's just the fact of he does not have the statistics to show he can be 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, and beyond. Doesn't have that. Now, he's going to have the opportunity this year to get a full 17-game season under his belt. Now, when you look at his statistics, I believe it was in Tennessee, he played 8 games in a season. And that was the biggest part of his 22 games he's played. But that's the most games he played in 1 year. Now, whether that was coming in during an injury happening or anything like that, I fully, honestly can't remember. But it's the fact he does not have the statistics to prove to be above 32. He doesn't. So it's a proving season for Malik Willis to see if he can rank higher in 2027. Simple as that. At number 31, the projected quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings to start this year is Kyler Murray. Okay, now we know Kyler Murray, former Arizona Cardinals quarterback, 87 games under his belt. He has completed 1,974 of his 2,941 passes, over 20,000, almost 20,500 yards passing. He has 20,460, 121 touchdowns, and 60 interceptions. So pretty much for every 2 touchdowns he throws an interception, turns the ball over, and turns it over a lot. Now he's going to Minnesota. He's got a pretty decent receiving core in Justin Jefferson. Juwan Jennings is there now. The running back room in Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. Like, he's got arguably a better team around him in Minnesota. Now, I'm not saying Arizona's a bad team. He had James Conner out there, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride. But the problem is him staying healthy and enough to be able to be on the field with those guys. Now he's going to Minnesota, and this is another proving ground. Is he's going into Minnesota, and playing with guys that he has possibly never played with before. Because when you look at the whole roster, there's probably guys on that roster that he may have played with before, and there's guys on this roster he definitely has never played with before. So this is another one where he's got to prove himself in a sense. He's going to a new organization. He's projected to be the starter over J.J. McCarthy. So it's pretty much another proving ground player. Like Malik Willis is the same for Kyler Murray. So that is why Kyler Murray is number 31 on this list. At number 30, Tua Tagovailoa. He is the projected starter for the Atlanta Falcons. As we know, Michael Penix Jr. is recovering from an injury. Tua comes in out of Miami and is being projected to be the starter out in Atlanta. Tua, pretty much the same situation as Kyler Murray. I mean, you look at his statistics. He has completed at least a little over half of his passes. 68% of his passes has been completed. He has a little over 18,000 passing yards. But then for every 2 touchdowns he throws an interception. 120 touchdowns to 59 interceptions. Now, when you look at Miami, I mean, Miami didn't have a bad team. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane. I mean, Miami had a team around. It's just Tua wasn't performing. Now he's in Atlanta. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, possibly a little bit of a better offense around him. So just like Kyler Murray, just like Malik Willis, proving ground. It's going to be a proving ground for him to have this new team around him. So we'll definitely have to see if Tua Tagovailoa can have better success in Atlanta than he did in Miami. So we'll definitely have to see. At number 29, Geno Smith. Geno Smith, quarterback of the New York Jets. Now, Geno Smith, he's been around the league. He's been a Jet before. From 2013 to 2016, he was a New York Jet. He played in 33 games in New York. 33 of his 109 career games were with the New York Jets. He's completed a little over half of his passes at 65.2%. He has 22,000 passing yards in his career. And another one to where pretty much for every touchdown he threw an interception. If so, every 2 touchdowns, he's thrown an interception. 124 touchdowns in his career to 89 interceptions. Now, of course, a couple of these years, he was a backup in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 2020, and 2021. He was a backup. Went to Seattle in 2020. He was in Seattle in 2022, became the starter in Seattle after Russ left. And obviously in Seattle, he had a pretty decent start in Seattle. 4,282 passing yards in his first year, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. But then the following year, 10 less touchdowns, 2 less interceptions. I mean, it seemed like he got better with not turning the ball over a little bit in 2023, but his yardage went down. It's almost like he was a little more careful, didn't throw as many touchdowns. Geno Smith going back to the New York Jets with the state that the Jets are in right now, it is hard to even put him above the top 25. It is. It is hard because the Jets have so much work to do. And Geno Smith is either going to be a part of it or he's going to separate himself from it. So we'll have to see what Geno Smith can do out in New York with the New York Jets in 2026. At number 28, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Okay. Now, Shedeur is another one of proving. Okay. Shedeur obviously took over the Browns for 8 games last year. He completed a little over half his passes, 56.6%. He had 1,400 passing yards. But his big problem was turning the ball over. 10 interceptions, 7 touchdowns. Okay. So with him being a second-year guy coming in and the projection of him being the starting quarterback, yes, Deshaun Watson's back, but they are still having a quarterback battle out in Cleveland. It is not set in stone that Deshaun Watson is the starter. It's not set in stone that Shedeur Sanders is the starter. Now, Shedeur Sanders is the projected starter. And a lot of people would say, oh, no, Deshaun Watson, this is his team, whatever. I think Shedeur may have proven that this could be his team because he did do some good things in 2025. Let's not get that wrong. Shedeur did show that he can do something in Cleveland. And he can make this his team. And he's now had a full offseason to do that. Now, some would say again that this is going to be Deshaun Watson's team now that he's back. That's not guaranteed. It's not. And I'm more on the arguing side of this is Shedeur's team. Because Deshaun Watson hasn't taken a snap of football in what, 2 years? 2 years. Why this organization tried to figure out their quarterback position. Went out and drafted 2 rookies last year. Dillon Gabriel in round 3, Shedeur Sanders in round 5. I mean, Joe Flacco was the starting quarterback last year before he got traded to Cincinnati, before he got pulled. So Shedeur Sanders right there at the brink of making the top 25, but I felt a little more comfortable putting him at 28. I know you're probably thinking, why isn't he at 31 under Kyler Murray and Tua and Geno, guys that have been able to kind of prove already? But I think Shedeur Sanders in year 2 in Cleveland, with the guys that were put around him during this offseason, this needs to be his team, and I think he's going to have a little bit of a better go at it in 2026. So I guess it's kind of like a far distance try and help build the confidence of a young quarterback as a football fan type of thing. I couldn't put him any higher than 25, and 28 I feel like was the best position. So at number 27, the projected starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders, Kirk Cousins. Now, Kirk Cousins was a tough one to position. And the reason why is because ever since Kirk Cousins left Minnesota, things have not been too good for him. Goes to Atlanta, became the starter. They go out and drafted Michael Penix Jr. And after, 10 weeks, 11 weeks, something like that, they bench Kirk Cousins because he was having some turnover issues. And then in comes Michael Penix Jr. Now, at the beginning of last year, I thought Kirk Cousins was going to get another go at being the starter. I thought, hey, maybe they're just checking out what they got with Michael Penix. And then Kirk Cousins will come back in next year, let him kind of refresh and restart in 2025. They didn't do that. They went right with Michael Penix. Now Atlanta's in the position they're in with their quarterback position. Kirk Cousins is gone. He's in Las Vegas. He got paid again. And they went and drafted Fernando Mendoza. In Atlanta, Kirk didn't really have the full-on idea that Atlanta was going to do what they did. In Las Vegas, he did. He knew Vegas was going to go for Fernando Mendoza. So he's kind of that bridge starting quarterback. And with the way Las Vegas has built their team for 2026, especially defensively, bringing in guys like Nakobe Dean, this Vegas team has an opportunity to roll this year. Now, would I go as far as them saying them winning the AFC West? Probably not, because they're going to have to compete against Denver. They're going to have to compete against Kansas City, who's getting healthier. And they're going to have to compete against the Chargers. Now, the Chargers, out of all the other 3 teams in the AFC West, the Chargers might be the better opportunity for the Raiders to, have an opportunity to sweep this year. Because there's a lot of questions going on right now with Justin Herbert in Los Angeles. There's a lot. Patrick Mahomes is the guy in Kansas City. We know that. He has like a 15-year contract. So he's not going nowhere. Yeah, there was some rumors about him possibly becoming a New York Jet at one point. That was so out of the realm of possibilities. especially with the money that would have had to be eaten. Like, that wasn't happening. There's a big opportunity for Kirk Cousins here. Go out, get this team rolling. Let Fernando Mendoza progress through 2026 and possibly get the Raiders to that next step and getting back into the postseason. I still think they're a little far away from winning the AFC West, but they are going to be a better team this year. Kirk Cousins being the quarterback, he's got to be the guy to keep them and put them on that path of success to start off with. Now, we're in the day and age where first-round quarterbacks, they come in, they start right away. I like Las Vegas doing this. If they do start Kirk Cousins, with him being the projected starter, I like the fact that they're not starting Fernando Mendoza from the rip. And Kirk Cousins still has the ability to have success. Some may not think so. But I'll say this. I think he does. You look at his statistics. He has well over 50% of completions, 44,700 yards passing, 131 interceptions to 298 touchdowns. So Kirk Cousins, we've seen him have success in Minnesota. In Washington, he had some success. So we'll have to see if Kirk Cousins, number one, is the starter in Las Vegas, and number two, if he can get that team rolling a little bit and set them up for positioning. So that was very distracting. I don't know if you guys heard that, but somebody's alarm was going off outside, and it was kind of annoying. All right. Moving on to our next quarterback on the list. I have another page open for my my statistics notes and why I put players on the list here. So here we go. At number 26, Jacoby Brissett, quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, so Jacoby Brissett, again, same as I have to say, I want to say he's kind of in the same position as Kirk Cousins, but he's not. Jacoby Brissett, as we know, he's been a backup quarterback in many places. In New England, in Indianapolis, I believe he was the backup in Miami. Yeah, he was the backup in Miami as well. Washington, Arizona, backup quarterback mostly. 61.9% completion percentage. He has 76 touchdowns, 32 interceptions. So for every touchdown he throws in, or every 2 touchdowns, he throws an interception, turns the ball over. Now, we know Jacoby Brissett trying to hold out this year, trying to make more money because he's taking over a team to, let's face it, have a lot to build on. A lot. And, I mean, I guess you could see his argument, but at the same time, he is not their long-term guy. He is not. Some are saying that Carson Beck might be their long-time guy. Some are saying that the Cardinals are just bridging Jacoby Brissett for next year. I don't think Brissett's their long-term guy. Him getting a big money contract is, I don't think, going to happen. Now, he is looking for, I think $5 more million in his contract, if I'm not wrong on that. So, I just feel Jacoby Brissett couldn't break the top 25. I couldn't place him any better. I couldn't. So, I am a little intrigued to see what he does in 2026, though. I'm kind of curious to see what he does with this Arizona team in 2026. All right, so this is where I feel like things are going to get a little hot for me now because we're in the top 25. Okay, so we kind of knocked out some quarterbacks that would not be above the 25 mark, right? This is where things are going to get a little hot. At number 25, Jayden Daniels, quarterback of the Washington Commanders, is number 25. The kid had a rough 2025. Let's face it, plagued with injuries. Okay, his sophomore year did not go very well. Year one, his rookie year, phenomenal year. Got the Commanders to the NFC title game. had a great year, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, over 3,500 passing yards. But then when you look at his 2025, plagued with injuries, and it was not good. Was not good. He only played in 7 games in 2025. 1,200 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he had to scramble a lot. A lot. I feel bad for the kid because I became a fan of Jayden Daniels, and it hurt me a little bit to put him at 25 on this list. But when you look at how things went in 2025 for him, I just couldn't put him higher. I couldn't, because he didn't even make it halfway through the season. Hopefully in 2027, I'm putting him higher on this list. Hopefully. But I had to put him at 25 on this list this year. At number 24, same situation, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals quarterback at number 24. Again, he dealt with the injury bug as well in 2025. It was a rough year for Joe Burrow. We really didn't see too much of Joe Burrow. I believe he played in 8 games, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 8 games. We didn't see him until basically the back end of the season. Thanksgiving night, he came back in that game against Pittsburgh and beat them handily. Okay? But it was a rough year for Joe Burrow in 2025. 1,800 passing yards in 8 games. That's not bad. 17 touchdowns. Not bad. Not bad for making it halfway through the season. But that's just it. He made it halfway through the season. Another guy I hope I'm ranking higher in 2027. But I couldn't put him any higher than 24. Because of that injury bug. And it stinks because we know Joe Burrow can be a top 10 quarterback. But I couldn't do it, not with him not making it through even halfway through the season. So he ended up being number 24 on this list. Number 23, Brock Purdy, quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, another one. Another one with the injuries. Played 9 games in 2025. Threw for 2,100 yards. He had 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So for every 2 touchdowns, he threw an interception. Okay. One week you're hearing Brock Purdy's going to be good to go. The next week, Brock Purdy's not good to go. It was a rough year for Brock Purdy. The injury thing is really why he is put here. He's in that list with Jayden Daniels and Joe Burrow, the injury thing. Brock Purdy at 23. That's the big reason why. Another quarterback I became a fan of, and I hope that I'm ranking him higher in 2027 as well. But I couldn't rank him higher this year. So, and we know Brock Purdy has got the talent to be a quarterback high in rankings. So, I mean, shoot. What was it, his second year he took his team to the Super Bowl? And he was the last guy drafted in his draft class. He was Mr. Irrelevant. You never see Mr. Irrelevant have that type of success. And he proved that Mr. Irrelevant can be successful. From being drafted in the 224th position of the NFL draft to going to a Super Bowl and almost winning. So, I'm sorry, but it's the injury thing is mainly what it is. At number 22, same thing, Jackson Dart, quarterback of the New York Giants. Again, this kid, he's impressed me in 2025. He played 14 games, 2,200 passing yards. He had 63.7% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I mean, it was almost like every week you heard Jackson Dart was in concussion protocol. The kid needs to learn how to slide and go out of bounds. It's as simple as that. He's got a lot to work on. And I couldn't put him even in the top 20. I couldn't. And my next 2 quarterbacks, You're probably thinking, why is Jackson Dart not ranked higher than them? Oh, because Jackson Dart is a second-year rookie who has a lot to learn. And I feel like the 22 position is a good position for him. And number 21, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, Daniel Jones. Now, Daniel Jones, he made it about halfway through the season before he got injured. 13 games in 2025 before he got hit with his injury. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts were rolling. And then when he went out, things just fell apart in Indianapolis, and it was not good. So Daniel Jones, the reason why he's this high on the list, though, is because, let's face it, he gets drafted to the New York Giants. His first season, hell of a year, over 3,000 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Slowly learned how to not to turn the ball over as his career went on. In 2020, 10 touchdowns, or 10 interceptions, 21, 7, 22, 5, 23, 6, 24, 7, 2025, 8. So it's like he kind of put himself on that downhill slope of interceptions, then it kind of creeped up on him again. When you look at the touchdowns, I mean, in 2020, 11, 21, 10, 15, and 22. 2 and 23 because he suffered that injury. 8 in 2024, and then he had 19 touchdowns before getting injured. Okay, so Daniel Jones, he's kind of at that flux of like, is he good? Is he not? Where's he at? I mean, he had a hell of a start in Indianapolis, but he had a hell of a start in New York as well. So you can kind of say he's still got some stuff to prove this late into his career. So couldn't rank him any higher as well. I couldn't. And number 20, quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, Tyler Shough. Now, this kid was very impressive in 2025. I mean, he came in and took over the New Orleans Saints. Now, the New Orleans Saints last year, they weren't starting Tyler Shough. We know that. He was not the starter. But Spencer Rattler fell apart. In came Tyler Shough. And Tyler Shough, well, he took over this team very, very quickly. A 67.6 completion percentage, 2,300 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Couldn't rank him any higher as well. Rookie, a lot to prove. You know, number 20, I think, is a good spot for Tyler Shough going into 2026. This is where things are about to get a little more heated. At number 19, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. Now, just like the top 100, Lamar Jackson fell hard. Well, he fell hard on my rankings list in 2026. In 2025, 13 games. He had 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He had 2,500 passing yards. I mean, injuries kind of crept up on him a little bit in 2025. It was a rough go for him. Hopefully he climbs back up in the rankings in 2026 because Lamar Jackson is a hell of a quarterback. We know that. He could be a hell of a quarterback. But I also think this is a year of proving for Lamar Jackson. And I've said it. I think that if he does not get this team to the conference title game, he's gone. I think the Ravens move on from him. I know he's still on contract and everything like that, but we've seen it that contracts don't matter nowadays. They don't. Don't matter at all. Teams will eat money. So that's not an issue. So we'll have to see if Lamar Jackson can get himself back up in the rankings in 2027 and see if he stays a Baltimore Raven as well. And number 18, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young. Bryce Young improving in 2025. And I say that with a lot of confidence because he really did improve in 2025 from 2024. He has almost over 700 more passing yards in 2025 than he did in 2024. significant amount more touchdowns, 8 more touchdowns than he did in 2024. Yeah, he turned the ball over 2 more times than he did in 2024. But this kid is showing so much improvement as his career goes on. And it all goes back to when he got benched. When he got benched and then came back, that's when you've seen the improvement. It was like a wake-up call for this kid. Got the Panthers to the playoffs last year. Damn near almost beat the Rams in the wild card round. So Bryce Young breaking the top 20, I think is fitting. And I think we're going to see more improvement from Bryce Young moving forward because this team is building. They are getting guys to fully surround Bryce Young for him to be successful in this league. So let's move on. At number 17, quarterback of the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud getting number 17. He dealt with some injuries in 2025. He had a 64.5 completion percentage, 3,000 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I mean, if you go back to his sophomore year, I mean, he had 700 more passing yards in 2024 than he did in 2025. Rookie year, obviously had a phenomenal year, 4,000 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Some would say he took a substantial step back in 2024, which, I mean, yeah, he turned the ball over 7 more times, threw 3 less touchdowns, a little under 400 less passing yards. Like, realistically, you look at it, it wasn't that bad. It didn't look pretty by the performance, but statistically, it was not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, I know that kind of sounds a little like defensive in a sense, but again, you look at it, his completion percentage from 23 to 24 only went down by 0.7. He threw a little under 400 less passing yards. He threw 3 less touchdowns, and he threw 7 more interceptions. So turning the ball over 7 more times, that's rough. But then you look at 2025, okay? His completion percentage went up by 1.3. He threw 700 less passing yards and 1 less touchdown than 2024. He threw 4 less interceptions, but yeah, he played in 3 less games in 2025 than he did in 2024 because of injury. But it's still the point. You look at the statistics aren't that bad. It's more of the performance and what it looked like. And it didn't look pretty. It didn't. So, yeah. So, but CJ Stroud at number 17, I think, is a good spot for him. And hopefully he's ending up higher on the list in 2027. At number 16, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. Okay, now Jordan Love, as we know, since taking over the Green Bay Packers, taking the Packers to the playoffs 3 times, 7 seed, all 3 times, and eliminated in the wildcard round. 2 out of the 3. In the first year, he went out, beat Dallas. But then the last 2 years, Philadelphia and Chicago. So rough go for Jordan Love. Rough go. In 25, he had a 66 completion percentage, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,381 passing yards. I mean, you look at his statistics, and I'll say this, there's consistency to it in comparison. I mean, in 2023, had a phenomenal year when it came to touchdown passes, 32 touchdown passes, 4,100 passing yards. But then in 2024, he stayed consistent in 2025 to his 2024 season. So I think that's one thing that's going to be a focus for Jordan Love is consistency. And consistency and progression. So can he progress? Can he get better? He's still a young quarterback in this league. He was drafted in 2020. but didn't see the field until 2021, played in 6 games, and he wasn't the full-time starter until 2023. So he's still got a lot of football left in him. He does. He's only 27 years old. He's got a long career ahead of him. The question is can he progress? Can he get better than he already is? Could he stay consistent on the progression? That's the big question. Jordan Love at 16, I think, is a good spot for him. So, guys, we're going to take a 30-second, okay? Because we're at the halfway point of the list. Had a feeling the show was going to run a little longer today. So we're going to take a short 30 to 45-second commercial break here on the Huddle Podcast, and we'll be back to wrap up the 2026 quarterback rankings after this. All right, guys, make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Hub Podcast over on social media today after the show. Over on TikTok, Instagram, X, and on Epic Studios at the Huddle Hub Pod. You're going to hit that follow button. Over on the YouTube, you're going to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on the YouTube. And, of course, over on Twitch at the Huddle Hub Podcast, you're going to hit that follow button. All of our social media links are in the Twitch bio. You just click on the one you desire to go to because I know not everybody uses every social media outlet, and help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. All right, let's continue our list with number 15, and that is quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Now, this is the point of the list where I feel like I'm going to get a lot of heat, and that's coming from the Kansas City Chiefs fans because they will live and die on that hill with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has been proven to be an elite quarterback, a guy that should always be in the top 10, right? Should be. But in 2025 at number one, dealt with the injury late in the season during a playoff rush, trying to get back into the postseason. It was a rough year for the Kansas City Chiefs. Only 22 touchdown passes, had 11 interceptions, 3,500 yards, 62 completion percentage. I mean, his lowest completion percentage since his rookie year in 2017, but he only played in one game in 2017. So you really can't compare it to his rookie year. But his lowest completion percentage since becoming the full-time starter in Kansas City. Now, when you look at the completion percentage, like you're looking at, I mean, in the past 3 or 4 years, he's had a 67 completion percentage. Dropping by 5 points in your completion percentage. That's rough. Now, he's coming off the injury. He's expected to start in week 1. He's hoping to start in week 1, get cleared. He mentioned it this week in an interview. But in 2025, there was a couple more quarterbacks that obviously played better than him, had a much better season than him. And normally Patrick Mahomes would be, again, possibly a top 10 guy, maybe a top 5 guy. But in 2025, it was a bad year. Bad year for Patrick Mahomes. And, we'll have to see if Patrick Mahomes can come back fully healthy to start the 2026 season and see if he can get the Kansas City Chiefs back up to where a lot of people expect Kansas City to be. So we know last year was a weird year and things got even weirder. And then to not see the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs is like, wow, okay. Yeah, this was a real weird year. So at number 14, quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward. Now, I'm going to say this. I just watched the quarterbacks documentary on Netflix. Season 3 came out back on July 14th on Tuesday. And it's only like 8 episodes. It's not a long season because they took quarterbacks that did not make the playoffs, had bad years. Cam Ward, Jaden Daniels, Joe Flacco, and Jaden Daniels, Joe Flacco, Cam Ward, and who's the fourth quarterback? Baker Mayfield. Okay. Now, Baker, obviously, he was having an MVP year the first 8-9 weeks of the season. Then things kind of went downhill for Tampa Bay. Baker still had a pretty decent go at the rest of the season, but it was a rough go for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tennessee, the past 2 seasons have not been too friendly to them. And do I think the 2026 season is going to be a little better for them? I think so. Maybe by like 2 more wins. But Tennessee's got a long way to go. They do. They have a long way to go to getting back to a position to possibly even be in the postseason, a wildcard team. But Cam Ward coming in his first year, not too bad. Now, yeah, the touchdown number is 15, 7 interceptions. He had a 59% completion percentage. He threw for 3,100 yards, which is not bad for a rookie quarterback. A rookie quarterback who came in and took over a team that we knew was not going to have a lot of win success. Now, they lost a couple close games last year, games that they could have possibly won. And getting a better look at the progression of him through this documentary, I'm like, man, he is going to be one of those quarterbacks in the next 2-3 years that is going to be in MVP races, is going to get his team to the postseason, possibly in the next 5 years raising a Lombardi trophy. Cam Ward is an impressive kid. And I think he's going to impress us as time goes on. But him at number 14 on this list, a lot of people are probably thinking, why isn't he down with a guy like Tua and Kyler Murray and Malik Willis? Well, because Cam Ward made it through 17 games of the season at one, got injured in the last week of the year, which sucks, but his motivation to make sure this team gets to where they should be speaks volumes. Became a leader of a team full of veterans. Wasn't afraid to call things out during press conferences, which is very impressive, and I loved it. And I'm excited to see the progression of Cam Ward in year 2 for the Tennessee Titans. And number 13, Justin Herbert, quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm just going to say this. Had a good year in 2025. Not a bad year. I thought he was going to have a much better year than he did. But for throwing for 3,700 yards in 2025, 26 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and a 66.4 completion percentage, not bad for a team that dealt with some injuries, mainly in the backfield. Their run game was more of the concern when it came to the injuries. But At the same time, the expectations of Justin Herbert are get the team to the playoffs. And let's face it, last year when I did my predictions, I had the Chargers going, I think, 15-2. You looked at their schedule and you looked at their team, and it was like, damn, this is a team that could do it. They had a very impressive roster, and their schedule was very, very good to them. But they didn't take advantage of it. And on top of that, the injuries again just did not help them. I think this is going to be another situation, just like I said in Baltimore. If Lamar Jackson does not get the Ravens to at least the conference title game, I think Baltimore moves on from him. I think if Justin Herbert doesn't get the Chargers past the wild card round in the playoffs, they're going to move on from him. I think this is a year where the Chargers really think about their future with Justin Herbert. And it's you know, you look at the statistics, it's not bad, but he can still progress. He still has room for improvement. He does. At number 12, quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers. Now, again, another situation of why is he ranked so high? Well, you look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers. I mean, he knows how to be consistent. He knows how to improve. I mean, he obviously, from 2024 to 2025, completion percentage went up. Yardage went down a little bit. Touchdown pass went down a little bit. But he didn't turn the ball over as much either. Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old, crazy enough to say, if he has a team around him, can have a lot of success. And Pittsburgh has a team around them. They put a team around him. I still think the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers can win their division, have another winning season. A lot of people think that the Steelers are not going to have a winning season this year. I think they go at least 10-7, 11-6 at best. They win their division, the AFC North. And with this being Aaron Rodgers' last year, for him to finish a ranking system, at least my ranking system, at number 12, I think it's best fit for him. So, at number 11, Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams. We've seen progression in Caleb Williams from 2024 to 2025, obviously. He came so close to becoming the first quarterback, the first player in Chicago Bears history to reach 4,000 yards. He missed it. He missed it by 58 yards. He had 3,942 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 more touchdowns in 2024, and 1 more interception than 2024. He had 7 in 2025. Okay. Completion percentage went down a little bit. Passing yards did go up in 2025. You would think he'd be a quarterback down in the mid-20s because he's going into year 3 and he still has a lot to progress on and show, improve, and all that stuff. But let's face it, the Bears built that team to be successful, and Caleb Williams showed that he could be successful, even in a losing season in 2024, had some really good statistics. And I see Caleb Williams continuing his building and success. So number 11, I think, is a great spot for Caleb Williams. All right, let's get into the top 10. At number 10, quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to say this. The only thing I really can say is not a lot of consistency from Trevor Lawrence. He had a hell of a 2025. I did put him in the top 10. I was kind of battling between him and Caleb Williams at number 10. That was a battle. But because of the success Trevor Lawrence had, he was in the MVP race last year at some point. I put him at number 10. It's as simple as that. I want to see Trevor Lawrence start being consistent. Jacksonville built their team for success. Now we need to see Trevor Lawrence be consistent. Simple as that. He has not shown to be consistent yet in his career. And hopefully he can get to that. And number 9, quarterback of the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix. Another quarterback you're thinking, why is he not further down this list? Because of how young he is, on how young his career is. Well, let's face it. If Bo Nix did not get injured in the divisional round of the playoffs in the final 2 to 3 minutes of the game against, I forget who they played in the divisional round. They'd be in the Super Bowl. The only reason why Bo Nix is not above Drake May is because of being injured and not making it to the Super Bowl. Because I think Bo Nix played in the AFC title game, Denver goes to the Super Bowl. Simple as that. Bo Nix impressed me, became a fan of the kid. He's at number 9, and I think he has a good chance of moving up on this list in 2027. I do, because Denver looks like they are ready to roll, and hopefully Bo Nix is 100% healthy, ready to go week 1 to get Denver rolling. So we'll see. At number 8, Drake May. Drake May. Like I said, if Bo Nix did not get injured in that divisional round, and he played in the conference title game, I think Denver goes to the Super Bowl over New England. But because Stidham had to start, Patriots made it. So Drake May at number 8. Had a hell of a year. Young career. Still has a lot to work on. But he's a starter. He's doing good. And now the addition of A.J. Brown. I mean, A.J. Brown is a beast. And all the talk about them working together in the offseason, that's great. But how are they going to do against defenses of the opposing team? You can do good all day in practice against your team. That's simple. You don't have guys that are opposing you that want to pretty much take your head off coming at you right now. Well, let's see if that changes when the season starts. Let's see what Drake May and A.J. Brown's relationship looks like when kickoff happens. I so wanted to put Bo Nix at 8. I did. At number 7, Super Bowl winning quarterback in Super Bowl 60, Sam Darnold. Yeah, I put Sam Darnold at number 7. I did. Yeah, he won the Super Bowl. Awesome. He's having a career resurgence since playing in Minnesota. Great. He's pretty much in that proving ground. Can he stay consistent? Can he continue having the success he had in 2024 and 2025? Now, when you compare his statistics from Minnesota to Seattle, he has almost 300 less passing yards. Yes, I know the run game in Seattle was a little better than it was in Minnesota. But his wide receiver room in Seattle was a little better than it was in Minnesota in a sense. I mean, he had Justin Jefferson. Goes to Seattle, has Jackson Smith and Jigba. He had 300 less passing yards in Seattle. 14 interceptions to his 12 he had in Minnesota. And in Minnesota, he threw 35 touchdowns opposed to the 25 he threw in Seattle. Can Sam Darnold stay consistent? He was better in Minnesota than he was in Seattle. He won a Super Bowl in Seattle. Drake May and the Patriots were not ready. They were ready, but they weren't ready to be on that stage last year. Sam Darnold still has a decent amount of things to prove. He does. Now, his career with the Jets, you look at his career with the Jets, the bigger numbers of concern was his touchdown interception ratio. Completion percentage was above 50%, which is good. His yardage, not bad. In 2018, in his rookie year, 2,800. 2019, 3,000. 2020, he fell down to 2,200 passing yards, but that's because he only played 12 games. Played 13 games in 2018, 2019. So the injuries didn't help him either. He's got to show the consistency. Simple as that. At number 6, Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. Now, yes, Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl the year before. Beat arguably one of the best teams in the league in Kansas City. Okay? Jalen Hurts in 2 Super Bowls, if the Eagles won, was MVP. Now, he was the MVP in Super Bowl 59. He would have been the MVP in Super Bowl 57. And when you look at Jalen Hurts, except for 2024, there's some consistency in the passing yards. His completion percentage is 64%. 110 touchdowns, 45 interceptions in his career. But he also runs. And yes, a lot of people hate the tush push. A lot of success in that too. Jalen Hurts has had 5, 6 different coordinators in his career. And has been able to make it work and stay consistent. And this is what I mean. When I talk about Sam Darnold, when I talk about Dre May, it's the consistency. You got to keep it going. Jalen Hurts has been able to do so. And him being ranked where he got ranked on the official NFL ranking, I think was very disrespectful. Because Jalen Hurts is definitely a top 10 quarterback. Definitely a top 10. At number 5, Baker Mayfield. Again, Baker Mayfield was an MVP candidate at some point last year until things started kind of ripping apart a little bit towards the back end of the season. I mean, enough said. Baker Mayfield is an awesome quarterback, had a resurgence in his career in 2020 going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you could tell he's having a lot of fun playing football. He's having a lot of fun in Tampa Bay. And I think Baker Mayfield is going to continue having success in Tampa Bay. And he obviously deserves to be in the top 5. At number 4, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Statistics last year just proved he had a hell of a year last year. And he deserves to definitely be in the top 10, if not the top 5. Definitely deserves to be in it. I mean, you look at his statistics, like crazy statistics last year. So, at number 3, quarterback of the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, same thing. I mean, rough year all around for the team, but still had a great statistical year last year. Definitely a top 5 quarterback. Definitely. If not top 10. So, let's get to the top 2. Now, you're probably thinking, who is in the top 2? We only have 2 quarterbacks left. 2 quarterbacks left. So, at number 2, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. Now, this was a toss-up. Number 1 and number 2, I soaked on that for a day. Okay? I had my list done. And then last night when I went to go finish it, I had 2 quarterbacks left. And that was Josh Allen and at number 1, Matthew Stafford. Okay? Matthew Stafford obviously showed that he was the number 1 quarterback in the league last year, won league MVP. I mean, the guy threw for 45 touchdowns. Yardage was crazy. Completion percentage was crazy. So, Matthew Stafford gets number 1 on the list. One more time. At number 1, Los Angeles Rams quarterback, Matthew Stafford. At number 2, let's run this down because I'm going to clip this for social media. So here are my quarterback rankings for the 2026 NFL season for the projected starters for each team from number 32 to 1. Let's run down the list. At number 32, quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, Malik Willis. At number 31, quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, Kyler Murray. At number 30, quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, Tua Tagovailoa. At number 29, quarterback of the New York Jets, Geno Smith. At number 28, quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, Shedeur Sanders. At number 27, quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, Kirk Cousins. At number 26, quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett. At number 25, quarterback of the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels. At number 24, quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow. At number 23, quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, Brock Purdy. At number 22, quarterback of the New York Giants, Jackson Dart. At number 21, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, Daniel Jones. At number 20, quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, Tyler Shough. At number 19, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. At number 18, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young. At number 17, quarterback of the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud. At number 17, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. At number 15, quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. At number 14, quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward. At number 13, quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. At number 12, quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers. At number 11, quarterback of the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams. At number 10, quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. At number 9, quarterback of the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix. At number 8, quarterback of the New England Patriots, Drake May. At number 7, quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold. At number 6, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts. At number 5, quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield. At number 4, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. At number 3, quarterback of the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff. At number 2, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. And the number 1 ranked quarterback on my 2026 quarterback rankings list is quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford. All right. There it is, guys. There is the quarterback rankings for 2026. There it is. So, all right, guys, that's all I got for you today. That is all I got for you today. Me and John will be back with you guys on Tuesday as we are going to run down Conference USA in our give me a second. Stop. We are going to run down the Conference USA in our college football preview show on Tuesday to get you guys ready for the college football season this year. We have been previewing each conference. We will be previewing each conference on the Tuesday show to get you guys ready for the 2026 college football season. Last week, we did the Sun Belt Conference. This week, we are doing Conference USA. So come join us on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle Podcast. The time will be announced on Tuesday morning to let you guys know when we will be going live on Tuesday. If you want to follow me on social media, TikTok, Instagram, X, and on YouTube at MetalMike714. If you want to follow, if you can, please go over to the Huddle Hub Podcast on social media and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, and on Epic Studios at the Huddle Hub Pod. You're going to hit the subscribe button on the YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. And, of course, on Twitch at the Huddle Hub Podcast. Hit that follow button. All the social media links are in the Twitch bio. Just click on the one you desire to go to. Help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. With that being said, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Take care of each other. Be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. We'll see you on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. Until then, have a great one. Deuces.